Welcome, class. How we doing today? Good morning. If you're watching live on the west and east coast, it's early in the morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We are live, ready to get started. 16 people in the house so far. Good morning, Christy. Good morning, Pearl. Good morning, Rachel. If you're in the house, drop a comment. Let me know that you're here, ready to get this lesson going on velocity banking and infinite banking. Got a case study. We're going to be combining these strategies. If you're brand new, this video probably isn't the best video for you to watch, okay? It's a little more advanced. If you're someone that is low income, low cash flow, backs against the wall, zero cash flow, negative cash flow, bad situation, bad financial situation, you're going to want to go click on playlist when you hit my channel. Go to playlist and go to velocity banking pregame work so that we can first build the foundation. I've been getting some interesting comments lately, and it makes sense. It does. It really does make sense. But I've been seeing some comments lately, and I'll read one of them. Shout out to Savannah, who often comments on my channel whenever I make or produce a case study video where the income is higher than the average and cash flow is higher than the average, and maybe they're debt free, or maybe there's just the mortgage remaining. They've paid off all their debt. Their expenses are low. It's really interesting the energy I get from people who make low income, right? Versus people who make low income but have a rich mindset. People who are broke but have a wealthy mindset. There's a paradigm shift that occurs. Let me know if you feel that energy when you're looking through the comments section. You're seeing how people comment, or maybe just in your day-to-day, right? For those of you who have been practicing velocity banking now for so many years, 3, 4, 5 years, or infinite banking, or a bit of both, or now you're on 10x mode and you're building a business. Do you find it interesting how the people that were with you when you were broke, low income, poor-minded, you had the paradigm shift? You were the one watching 50, 100 of my videos and other content creators. You were the one reading the books, going to the source. Where did this come from? Where did this strategy come from, right? And as you began to improve yourself personally, spiritually, physically, financially, you began to elevate your mindset. You once were jealous, envious, angry. Why? How come I can't make money? Or how come I'm in this position? Daddy wasn't there, and I didn't have a mom growing up, or my dad left me when I was 2, and all this excuses, right? And then all of a sudden you had this paradigm shift, and you begin to hold yourself accountable, and you begin to not play victim anymore, and you began to take it to the next level in your life. You begin to own your trauma. You overcame your trauma, your obstacles, your challenges, and now you're using that as a force of energy, of motivation, of passion, of encouragement, of inspiration. I mean, go down the list. And now you've elevated your income, okay? Now you are above the average. You're in the top 10%. You're in the top 20% of income in America. And all of a sudden, you're now getting these weird comments, right? Weird, like, wait a minute. Isn't that the goal, to get better? Isn't that the goal, to make more money, to be able to give more, tithe more, do more impact? Isn't that the goal, to build a stronger relationship with the Father, with the Creator, to be entrusted with God the Father, his resources? To be trusted with more means you bear more responsibility, means you're responsible for more of his children, his people, which requires more resources, which requires more money. Isn't that the goal? So trips me up sometimes when I hear these comments, and as I read the comment, I'm seeing there's pain behind the comment. There's a human behind that comment. Maybe they're a bot. I don't know. There's tons of bots nowadays. But you typically know when you're dealing with a person when there's a very, very well scripted comment. So there's pain, there's struggle, there's worry, there's doubt, there's fear in this comment. And I've seen it multiple times. Maybe you were one of those people at one point and then you had the shift. I share this, I open up with this to let you know that we need to give people grace, mercy, patience. Be patient with the people that you're working with. If you're someone that's like me, you're building a financial coaching practice, you're building a business, you're helping your family get to the next level in their finances, but they haven't had the flip yet. They haven't had that paradigm shift like you had. Give grace, give mercy, give patience. Think back to how long it took you to watch how many videos of me before you finally said, man, there's something in the math here. There's something here. I don't know too much about this kid, but there's something in the math that just is finally starting to add up. Okay? Give yourself that same amount of time when you're working with someone, if they haven't yet had that shift, that mindset shift. So here's the comment. This was a video I did recently. The title of the video was Velocity Banking, making 13 grand a month. Now, 13,000 a month is a pretty high number, or really extremely high number if you're a single mom, divorced mom, widow, single dad, divorced dad, widowed dad. If you're paycheck to paycheck making 3, 4, 5 grand a month, that's a lot of money to you. I get it. Understand that it truly, when I say it truly, does not matter how much money you make. It's all about how you manage, what you keep. Okay? So the person making in that video 13,000 a month is just as financially illiterate as someone making 3 grand a month. How is that? How can that be, Denzel? Well, it boils down to simply the skills and talents and gifts or career choice that person went through. Someone making 3, 4 grand a month might just be a waiter, okay? Or you clean houses, or you work at a hotel, versus someone making 13, 15 grand a month might be a dentist, okay? They might be an engineer. They might be some type of a doctor. They might be a, what do they call those people that put you to sleep? The anesthesiologist. I think they actually make more money than 13, 15K a month. But it's not about how much money the person is making, right? So in that case study I did, person making 13 grand a month, they did not know the strategies. They were also in a tough financial position. They're also living paycheck to paycheck. So it's the same. Whether I'm talking to somebody making 3 grand a month, 13 grand a month, 33,000 a month, or 300,000 a month, if you're financially illiterate, or if you are a poor steward over your finances, it's all the same. I have to go back to the fundamental basics of finance, the principles, and I have to say the same thing to the person who is making multiple 6 figures down to the person making low 4 or 5 figures a year. It's the same conversation, guys. So I want you to be able to expand your mindset. If you're someone that's low income, right, below the average American income salary, I want you to expand your mindset. Don't click away from a video that's showing making 15 grand a month, 17 grand a month, 10 grand a month, right? Look at that, because that is typically where you want to get to, right? If you're making 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a month, you're trying to jump. Yes, you're trying to make more, but also be a good steward of where you're at so that you can be entrusted with more, and then entrusted with more. And that's how you go from level to level as it relates to finances, right? So here was the comment. It says, how many people make 13 grand a month? Denzel. How many people? How many people? A lot of people. Totally unrealistic numbers for the average American. Anyone who has a cash flow of over 4 grand and a credit card balance of 6K isn't too bright. In 2 months, it's paid off. Like, duh. Like, duh. And I was like, oh man, there's pain. There's struggle in that comment. I hear you. Trust me. When you guys comment, clients, non-clients, new people, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the pain in the way you write. I'm observing. I'm just waiting patiently. I'm saying, look, I'm here. I'm here with open arms. You don't got to pay me a dime to get in my ecosystem. You just got to be willing to do the work. That's it. I'm coming in, open arms, love. I'm ready. I'm ready. When you're ready to surrender, when you're done delivering your hate, when you're done with your anger, look, right here, open arms, right? This is the kingdom way. Open. I'm ready. I'm ready to receive your love once you've poured out all your hate and you're now empty and all you got left is mercy and gratitude. I'm going to be right here. Same video, same content, same material. Got to know your numbers. What do I say, guys? Got to know your numbers. What are your 4 major numbers? Got to know them. Got to know them. Send me your numbers. You want to work with me? You need help? Send me your numbers. Send me your numbers. Don't just send me 2 numbers. Send me your numbers, all of them, everything. And maybe we'll have a conversation because I'm going to look at those numbers and I'm going to see, okay, this person's serious. They sent me pay stubs, bank statements, numbers, goals, financial situations, whole story, everything. Then I'm like, you know what? This person's serious. They want to get to work. So I just wanted to open up with that as we look at a case study. And this isn't a high income type of case study, but as I make more videos, just understand it's all the same. Whether I'm doing a case study on someone making $1 million a year, 500, 5 grand a year, 5 grand a month, right? 50 grand a year, 70 grand a year. It's all the same. It's up here being able to comprehend the strategy, apply that action so we can have some results, guys. All right, let's take it to the whiteboard. Took 12 minutes on that. I think it was worth it. Now we got 58 people in the house. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this strategy. So 4 major numbers on the board. Dealing with a client making $7,150 a month, net take home, total expenses, everything, total. They're spending $4,150 a month. Total debt, $130,000. That debt is inside of their debt tool, which is a first lien HELOC at 5.5%. So they switched their traditional mortgage into a first lien HELOC. They now have a 5.5% rate, $300,000 credit limit, $130,000 owed on it, leaving them with a net cash flow consistently per month, $3,000 a month. These numbers can fluctuate. They can make more money. They can cash flow more. They can potentially spend a little bit less. These are overestimating on expenses, underestimating on cash flow, underestimating on income, leaving room for error. 4 major numbers, debt tool, first lien HELOC, $300K, 5.5%. Cash on hand, 40 grand. Couple goals, couple desires. After spending so much time with me, they're like, okay, I've heard you talk about the HSA. I've heard you talk about Roth, Denzel. I work in the banking industry, and my exit strategy to get out of the banking industry, I want to be able to do what you do, Denzel. I want to coach people. I want to teach velocity banking, infinite banking. I want to build a practice out of it. I want to help people pay off their debt or increase their income, start a business, right? So they're looking to start a financial coaching practice. Now, in the midst of these goals, we're implementing a strategy on themselves and then simultaneously they're going to be marketing themselves little by little to build that coaching practice. And it's all going to flow. All the income is going to flow through a velocity banking and infinite banking strategy to continue to pay off debt, max fund a policy or two, fund different retirement accounts, and build a cash flowing business. So we got activity income in here, passive income in here, pretty much covering all the bases, right? All the different segments and points of views as it relates to personal finance. We're going to be incorporating multiple strategies that we see on the internet, because the reality today is that you guys and myself, we're all looking at multiple different strategies all at once. We're getting a gem from this person, a gem from that lady, a gem from this guy, a gem from this content creator, and you're making your own catered, customized financial freedom plan. So that's how I want to be able to illustrate case studies, and that's what I've been doing the last 3-4 years, is really bringing all these concepts together, because you don't have to just do one, because we're living in a time where you're getting bombarded with so much information. So it makes sense to talk about how do we incorporate it all, not get overwhelmed, not get burnt out, not get into analysis, paralysis by analysis, right? And procrastination mode, but we actually take action on all of these different concepts, right? So that's how I'm illustrating this. So here's the layout. Getting our numbers together to try to figure out a funding plan is the same way, or the same strategy I use when we're figuring out our chunk. Is typically how I also figure out how we're going to fund different assets and different vehicles, right? Cash flow times 12, $3,000 a month times 12, $36,000 a year, right? Is what we cash flow, okay? $300,000 is the credit limit. Times that by 66%, 2/3, you get $198,000. $198,000 is my max capacity of leverage before I personally would feel uncomfortable in this situation. Matter of fact, because the credit line is so high compared to their income, I may not even really ever get too close to that number to begin with, of the 198. And also considering we owe already 130 on the line itself. So in reality, my actual space is 198,000 minus 130, right? So 198,000 minus 130. So we got 68,000 of available credit in my head, right? How my clients are thinking. This is how we typically think in terms of what we can leverage, right? 68 grand being our max, right? In the cash flow of 36 grand, 12K of that is savings, right? Every single year, which is why they're at this number of 40 grand, right? Of savings. So something that they did, right? Some of the things that I'm sharing already occurred, already happened. So client already moved savings into their HELOC. So it brings the 130K down to 90, right? But I'm just kind of going back in time in terms of how this all came to be, where we were. So here we are, 130 minus 40. Now we're at 90K owed. So that obviously adds 108,000 of space. And again, don't even plan on getting anywhere near 198,000, but this is their threshold. This is what we're looking at, right? I just want to put that off to the side, give you those details so you can see that. So when moving savings goes into the HELOC, brings the balance down, brings my borrowing cost down. From the 4,150, they have a solid 2,000 a month that they run bills through a credit card, and they are averaging 2% cashback rewards. So we're getting roughly $40 in cashback rewards. That helps offset our what? Our borrowing costs at the 5.5%. All right. They are doing velocity banking to pay down the debt, right? To pay it off. But we also want to do infinite banking. They want to establish a policy. So how do we do both at the same time? Is there a way to use my money more than once in this situation? Absolutely. By using the equity in the HELOC, we can max fund a policy instead of funding a policy from savings, one-time use, or funding a policy on a monthly basis. Here's what's really interesting about cash value life insurance in terms of how you fund a policy. Typically, as a matter of fact, it's not typically, it's all the time. If you're going to fund a whole life insurance policy, there are additional fees and charges if you pay monthly. I just had a conversation with a client where I showed them how they could use their debt tool to max fund their policy, switching from monthly to annual, and they were going to save a little over $300, right? So if you saved I think it was like $400 roughly in savings by switching from paying a infinite banking policy that was designed for the infinite banking concept, instead of paying it monthly, where the cash value performance is going to be a little bit less than if you were to pay it annually up front, because now the money is growing all at once, all throughout the year, as opposed to like dollar cost averaging, right, over time. So not only do they get the benefit of their cash value performance now being improved because they switched to annual, but there's also a net savings in doing that. And that could be in the neighborhood of $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800, depending on how much money we're funding in the account. So whatever that savings was, understand that was money that the client was already paying. They're already paying for that. It was already factored into the expenses. So now that I recovered it and I'm saying fund it through the debt tool, whatever you pay in interest is less than what you were paying in costs to fund that account. So then I asked them, what's my borrowing costs? Well, nothing, because I didn't increase my interest because now I borrowed from something to fund something. I didn't increase my costs. No, I actually lowered it by doing that. So when we run the math and we show the cost of borrowing from that period of max funding, we borrow a certain amount of funds. In this case, we've decided to fund a policy on client $30K a year. So you're going to pull $30K from the debt tool, from their first lien HELOC, and max fund a policy instead of paying monthly, right? Policy's already in place. So they were doing monthly. We switched it around, right? Because I didn't design the policy personally. So we switched it from monthly to annual, and they saved a bunch of money just by doing that. So if you're someone that is not a client of mine, or maybe you are a new client of mine and you're coming into my coaching practice with a policy already in place, more often than not, I'm seeing people fund their policies on a monthly, quarterly, semi-annual. Very rare do I see people funding their policies on an annual basis. Why? Because it's not that easy to drop $30K. It's not that easy to drop $50, $10K, whatever the number is of your max funded amount. It's not that easy. but we can make it more efficient if we use a debt tool. And despite whatever the interest rate is, if we can show the math, if we can make sense of it, may not always make sense. Depends on what the rate is on the tool and what we can lower that borrowing cost down to, in addition to what we're getting in cashback rewards. The math works out. You're actually saving more money and your cash value performs better by paying it on an annual basis. Not bad, right? So that's what's occurring here. We're doing velocity banking with a credit card and a first lien HELOC. We're using velocity banking to max fund an IBC policy, $30K a year, every single year. And then once the money is in there, we're now giving it another use, right? So we've got the income all going into the HELOC, one use. Money goes out, same money, to pay bills, second use. We're using other credit card credit to run the same bills that they're going to pull out of this account to pay that account to reduce borrowing costs and get cashback rewards. That's the third use. Then we're using the same money that we saved on interest that we got in cashback rewards, incoming cash flow, fourth use, to fund a policy, $30K a year, fourth use. Fifth use, borrowing the same money, which was debt, on top of debt, on top of debt, right? Same money. Fifth use, to take out a policy loan, right? Fifth use, policy loan, hits the checking account. Sixth use, that money gets divided up, what we borrow. They're going to take a policy loan, $9,650. We're going to max fund an HSA and max fund a Roth IRA. That's what they want to do. So HSA stands for Health Savings Account. If you didn't know, Roth IRA, it's pretty common. That's an account where you put after-tax dollars, money grows tax-free. HSA account, you get a deduction, right? Tax-deferred money goes in, right? You get a tax deduction on what you contributed. And if used properly, the money can be accessible tax-free. After age 59 and a half, the health savings account can be used as a stream of income, right? Based on all your medical expenses throughout the year. Where instead of getting a deduction on those medical expenses, you would save all the receipts all throughout your years, your younger years, right? And then you can cash in on that when you're much older in retirement as tax-free income, because it's a reimbursement of all those health eligible expenses. And any money that needs to be used for health, because you're still going to have a health cost. In fact, your health costs will increase the older you get. So any money in that HSA that got built up can be used tax-free for medical. So you can have a specific type of account that covers your medical, and you can control that cost all throughout your older age through that account. So very strategic type of a strategy there. And then the Roth, same thing. Money goes in after tax dollars. Now money is growing completely tax-free. So when I'm older, I don't have to worry about paying taxes on all that money that gets accumulated in that account, right? This is details that they picked up from me a little bit, but then they did more research, and then they came across the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence and Retire Early. That's another strategy. So we got velocity banking, infinite banking, Kingdom Authority in here, FIRE strategies, 4 strategies so far, all in one. Because what are you guys doing? You guys are watching tons of different videos, tons of different contents. Oh my God, that's a gem. Oh my goodness, that's a gem. That's a gem. And we're bringing it all together to make sense, so don't get overwhelmed. So in the FIRE strategy, their whole philosophy is spend less than what you make, right? Live off 50% of what you make, save the rest, open up a brokerage account, a Roth, an HSA, a 401k, max fund these things, right? Invest in real estate, save your money, invest your money, live like no one else, right? Spend less than what you make, be a minimalist, be frugal. And by 30, 35, 40, you're retiring early, right? And you're having financial independence, financial freedom. The goal with FIRE is to have passive income equal what you produce in active income. And if you do that, then you're guaranteed to be able to cover your lifestyle, your cost of living. Because if you're already living below your means, then technically speaking, you only need enough passive income to cover your cost of living. But if you want to create additional safety in that to claim financial independence, I would want my passive income to either exceed or meet my activity income at your career, right? This person's in the banking industry, right? On the mortgage side of things. So that's their thinking. They watched additional content on top of mine. So within the FIRE strategy, here's another strategy within that strategy. Velocity, Infinite, Kingdom, FIRE. Here's the fifth strategy. When they fund the HSA and the Roth, when they max fund it each and every year through the policy, they're now going to put that money to work, and they're going to do dividend investing and index investing, okay? Dividend investing meaning they're buying a stock that regardless of what the price of that stock is, it pays a dividend each and every year over and over again, 1, 2, 3, whatever the percentages of a cash flow just from owning that stock. No matter what happens to the price, it's always going to pay a dividend. Index investing, regardless of what happens to the market, they're still getting a flow, right? And the whole idea is they keep putting money into it year over year over year, creates that compounded effect. Money's growing tax-free. And there, the same money that they used is also growing tax-free, right? Where? In the whole life insurance contract. The cost of borrowing is getting offset by what? The fact that they switch from monthly to annual, the fact that they're running bills through a credit card, getting cashback rewards, and the fact that they're doing velocity banking in the HELOC itself to bring the 5.5% down to less than 1. That get you excited? Gets me excited, gets me pumped up. So we got a system here, a flow of no cost of borrowing. We are becoming master borrowers, master lenders on both sides of the equation, right? Creating massive cash flow over a long period of time. This is the passive strategy. In addition to all that, they've also tapped into their skills, gifts, and talents, walking in their purpose, discovering what their purpose is. They believe it is financial coaching. So now they're going to develop their style of coaching and consulting and being a financial strategist, and that's going to be an additional way for them to generate more income and cash flow on top of their main career. And as they ease out of that career, right, clients in their mid 40s, so we got about, say, a 10-year window or so where they want to move out of it. I want to usually help people within 5 to 7 years or less get out of their have to work position, right? And put them into a position where they want to work, and now they're working for purpose, right? Now, I have people with careers like dentists and doctors and engineers and nurses, people in hospitality, different industries where you love what you do, right? And that's cool too. You love what you do, but you can't do it forever. So we always have to keep in mind of that. Like, if you're working for someone, but you love what you do, nothing wrong with that. The only issue that will arise as you get older and older is the next young person that comes in is going to be able to do what you do better, faster, more efficient, which is going to eventually push you out. And whatever your retirement plan is through that company, I can assure you is probably not going to be enough according to inflation, taxes, cost of living, all this different stuff that comes into the equation as we get older and older. So we have to develop a strategy in the area of the work that you do that you love. Can we build a social media channel? Can we become an influencer? Can we become a speaker? Right? Let's say you're a 55-year-old nurse. You've been nursing for the last 30 years. So you got 30 years of expertise in the nursing industry in that state, in that county. Could you not become a speaker at universities that are training the next generation of nurses and get paid $5,000, $10,000 just to speak and share your story and your experience, the do's and don'ts of nursing, the pitfalls that people tend to make when they first start their nursing career? You know, you can talk about burnout. You can talk about how being a nurse, you're going to be doing these 15, 16-hour shifts. One of the ways that this is you, the nurse, 55-year-old nurse talking, you could say something along the lines of, hey, instead of taking Adderall, right, you can take this, all natural, no GMO, whatever you want to say, right? I do this that gives me the energy to last those 15, 16-hour shifts instead of taking Adderall. So now you're striking chords, because the next generation, you already know they're doped up on Adderall. Everyone's taking Adderall now, right? Oh, you didn't know? Okay, well, now you know. So now you get to speak on that. Corporations, universities, organizations, nonprofits, businesses will hear about you and say, okay, you heard that lady talk about Adderall and how and an alternative strategy to that, and how to last longer in the workplace, and how to be mindful of all those overtime shifts that you take. And instead of, drinking away your sorrows, that you can actually, become a part of a women's ministry or men's ministry or a small group ministry where you can have your thirst quenched by the Spirit of the Father, and just go into it. So now you're continuing to do what you love as a nurse, but you've generated another stream of income that pays you at a much higher rate than you could ever physically work for. And then you take that cash flow, run it through your velocity banking and infinite banking system like this person here, right? So here we go. Let's do a recap in terms of how we got to the 30K a year number, right? Considering that the person had capital, cash flow times 12 is 36 grand, right? So 36,000 times 2/3. A more conservative number technically would have been $23,760 from the cash flow. Now, because we have cash on hand, and because of the projections that we're making for the client in terms of them building that other stream of income and other factors of raises, promotions, things like that comes down the line, we created a little space, right, to allow additional funding. So naturally, I would have been around 20, 23K funding per year. That's conservative. If we're going to incorporate leverage in order to not over leverage ourselves, we want to be mindful of what our cash flow times 12 is per year and what is our leverage capability. The line of credit is at now 90K. Add 30, we're at 120. So I'm still nowhere near that 198. The amount of time it takes me to bring that 30K back down 12 months later to then do it again the preceding year, the number will be less than 90, right? Because the cash flow is 36K, and then the potential of all the other things that come into the equation that can improve the numbers over time. And even if it just went back down to 90, they are okay with servicing that amount of debt. Okay, they're comfortable with that. So we don't have to go to zero necessarily, because their strategy has shifted from just paying off debt to now paying down debt and max funding policy and borrowing from policy to max fund retirement accounts, et cetera, et cetera. See where I went with that? So that's how we got to that 30K number. 12K a year is savings, right? So I said, okay, 12,000 plus 9,650, which will get borrowed out. We're at 21,650. And then they felt comfortable leveraging the other 7 to 9K through the debt tool because of the low cost of borrowing. And that's how we kind of got to that number. Here's the other cool part when it comes to max funding a policy. They don't have to commit to 30K a year. Their base premium is somewhere around $3,000, right? 3, maybe 4 when you tack on the PUA and term charges, right? So their required funding is only going to be the base premium. Anything above that is PUAs. That money can get dumped in whenever. It's just ideally we're shooting for annual funding. Also, when you factor in the cash on hand of the 40K, that also that helped them get to that 30K number, where it's like, okay, technically speaking, even without the HELOC, I could max fund this policy with cash flow and savings for the next 4 years. So we got the next 4 years secured of 30K, 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 30K. And in those 4 years, can they build a financial coaching practice that could potentially exceed the amount of money they make working? And then their purpose will actually force them to quit their 9 to 5, which gives them 40 more hours per week to work on their purpose. And that could potentially double whatever they're making here. So they can probably do like a jump to like 14K a month. Do you guys see how that can occur? Right? So as we get through this strategy here, money, all income goes into HELOC, expenses go out. Before those expenses go out, a portion of it is being ran on a credit card, and then it gets paid off in full each and every month from the HELOC. Money comes out of the HELOC, automatically pays that credit card, right? Because it's a first lien, HELOC works just like a checking account. So bills never actually have to come out of the HELOC into a checking account, and then the checking account pays the bill. That's not what's occurring here. Notice how I showed HELOC directly funds policy. It didn't have to exit somewhere and then fund the policy. It just goes right in. So that means when they take a policy loan, it'll go where? Back into the HELOC. So all money goes in, expenses go out, cash flow stays. Velocity banking. We set the anniversary date of funding. Boom, 30K annual, funds the policy. As soon as that policy is funded, within 10 days of the first year and then every year thereafter, I can take out money any time of the year that I want. So we take out a policy loan. What are we borrowing for? What's the purpose of borrowing? They're simply borrowing to max fund these two types of accounts. That's it. HSA and Roth. Boom. They're doing FIRE strategy, dividend investing, index investing. They're shooting for rates of returns that are higher than whatever their cost of borrowing is on the policy loan, even though they already offset it. We're offsetting it double time, right? From there, as the person does velocity banking, from the time of borrowing that loan to the next anniversary date, they're just doing velocity banking in the HELOC. And they're going to continue to. There's no chunking going on. Why? Because there's no other debt. The debt is in the debt tool. So they're just consistently doing velocity banking, bringing that balance down, right? For the next 12 months, the only time they're pulling money out of the HELOC in a big chunk form is for the policy. So by year 2, if I did a $9,650 loan times, say, 4% is the loan costs internally in the policy. So that'll be $386. By year 2, this is what we would like to do. Max fund the policy, $30K, plus pay interest of the $386. Out of pocket, don't let the cash value pay your loan interest. You pay it out of pocket from the debt tool itself. So now you're paying in year 2, $30,386. Now, here's the other thing. If the person produced more cash flow in those 12 months, like Denzel, I actually have $35K to dump in. Cash flow increased to $3,300 a month since the first policy year, right? Well, we could take that difference and pay down the loan. At some point in time, we do want to be able to replenish the loans and then rinse and repeat and do it all over again, right? What we don't want is to never pay back the policy loans. I don't technically want to do that. Don't want to say never. And I also don't want to let the interest compound itself. So that's why we're always going to take care of it year over year. So let's say in year 2, they had an extra $5K, which pays down that policy loan of $9,650. So now only $4,650 is owed. But in year 2, what did they do again? We took out another $9,650 to max fund the 2 accounts. So add the 2. Now they're at $14,300 in policy loans times, say, 4%. Right? Cost of borrowing in 1 year, simple interest, right? Year 3, $30K plus interest. So they're going to pay in $30,572. Let's say year 2, they've got quite a few clients under their belt now. They're making a second stream of income through activity. Maybe they got licensed to sell policies. Maybe they got a license to sell health insurance. Maybe they are promoting annuities. Maybe they set up a relationship with a credit repair expert and a business credit repair expert, so they're getting referral payouts, or maybe they hooked up with a business coach, so they're on the financial side, and then they pass the client over to business coaching if that client wants to start a business, and that coach charges X and pays you a referral commission. So now you're tacking on additional streams of income. Maybe this person decides to start a Shopify store, and now that's creating $500 a month, $1,000 a month, if that, maybe more. See how it just keeps compounding itself. So year 3, let's say that number increased to $10K, and whether they have this additional funds or not will not affect the cash value performance, which is nice because they're taking care of the interest each and every year, and they are max funding each and every year. And the cost to do that is near nothing, right? And then we can also prove that, right? Simply running the numbers, seeing, okay, what does it cost to run that debt through the HELOC? All right, let's see. Balance was originally at 90, and then when I take out 30 goes to 120 times 5.5%. So that's $18 a day. Then 120 minus income times interest rate. We're at 17. All right. So we got 120 is the highest balance, minus income is the lowest balance in that month. Take out expenses, 4,150, 117 times 5.5%. $17.63. I don't have to count this number because I'm never going to owe 120. Because the moment I took money out, right, I dumped income in to bring the balance down. So I could just go over these two numbers to try and give myself somewhat of a estimate of what it'll cost. $17.63 a day plus $17 divided by 2 times 30. $519.45 is my cost of borrowing in 1 month. Overestimated. Times 12, we're at $6,233.42. The most amount possible that I'll pay in interest. That's not going to be the case, but that is the most amount of money I could pay. Right? Now, from here, it's kind of tough to project what we'll earn in here and the Roth, but we know for a fact that when I fund a policy in the first year, it's negative. So we don't even have to like count whatever that is, but it's going to be a negative. 30K goes in, I have less than 30 to start with. It'll take me 5 to 7 years or so for that, or less, for that money to break even, right? And there's a cost of borrowing of $386 in the policy loan itself, right? So $386 plus cost of borrowing in the HELOC itself, right? And we want to tack on that number. See, okay, it's the total absolute max amount. This is not the number they'll pay, nowhere near it, but this is the absolute total amount of money we'll pay, right, in the first year. So to bring that number down, we've got $40 cashback rewards, and that's conservative. They're actually doing more, but again, conservative. So that's $480 there. When you do velocity banking month over month over month, the $519 starts to decrease, right? So I'm not paying $519 each and every month. It's going to be $519, then maybe $508, then $499, then $482, right? It keeps going down and down. Let's say from the $36.50, what does the S&P, what does it historically have done, right? They throw these averages out. I think it's like 9% or something like that, right? So let's cut the number in half and say 4.5. 3,650 times a 4.5% rate of return. That's actually not even attractive. Could do way better. But I'm just going to lowball it tremendously and see if it makes sense. Is it worth doing it? Right? You get to be the decision of that. You get to be the decision maker of that. I can tell you that no matter which way you slice this whole strategy, you will most likely be negative in terms of your cost of borrowing, technically speaking, negative in the first maybe year or two because of the way the policy is, the way we pay for whole life insurance, right? There's a cost to do that. So you're also factoring in what was that cost, the PUA charges, right? Insurance companies front load the cost in the first few years. But if you were to map it out, how many years later, when do I break even? And now I start to create a positive. And then when you factor in, wait a minute. Even though I'm negative in cost, I'm also using the same dollars so many times over that I solved for so many different things. How do you put a value on that? I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe you will. But how do you put a value on figuring out the whole idea of using $1 more than once and how it satisfies different equations, different uses? It's the same dollar. So if I wanted to fund an HSA and a Roth account, I could do that without having an IBC policy. No doubt. I have clients that do that. But this scenario, they're using the same dollars to fund that policy, to then take from it, to then fund two other accounts, and the money came from debt originally, right? And then the savings and the income helped reduce that cost. And year over year, my income, my mindset is to elevate and increase. I'm going to be in a really interesting position here. So we got 164.25 on 3,650, and then the Roth IRA, let's say there's a 5% rate of return on that. That's $300 on that. And then through Velocity Banking, let's say we're able to cut the $6,233.42. Let's say we're able to cut $2,000 in borrowing costs, potentially. All right. Again, underestimating on actual cash flow that they bring in, underestimating on income. We don't factor that stuff in there. That improves the numbers even better. So 6,233.42 minus $2,000. Let's say we're able to bring the borrowing cost down to $4,500 for the year. Granted, that number could be way less. So 480 plus 164.25 plus 300. So 944.25. Where does that leave us? 4,500, 944.25. Brings us down to 35.55.75 cents. You're still negative, right? Just did all that damn work. Does it make sense? Say yes, comment yes. No, Denzel, this is why you're a scam artist, Denzel. This is why I don't like you, because you're a clown. You think you know everything. Dude, let me know, because I'm always willing to improve my strategy, right? If you were to map this out and go 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, understand that there's a guarantee that the policy itself will break even. That's the first thing. The second guarantee, it's going to start producing a positive internal rate of return between 3, 4, near upwards of 5% on money that was already going to leave your economy, and you recaptured it. And then you gave it a second purpose and sent it out to go invest. So you're going to eventually be netting an internal rate of return of 3 to 4% over here, IRR. And there's guarantees in the policy to prove that, as well as non-guaranteed dividends to make up for the difference. So you got that. Every single year, you're max funding your HSA and your Roth. So now compounding starts to occur in that. So what seems like low numbers here eventually starts to really accumulate. And understand that the borrowing costs in the policy, it went up a little bit, right? But if I make more income, then I can bring that down by simply dumping more money into the account. And then the HELOC itself, right? If we were to go 12 months out, the balance on the HELOC will likely be less than $90K. So if it went down to $80K in 12 months, you went from $120,000 owed down to $80, and you did another $30K chunk. Well, now we're at $110. So that means this borrowing cost in year 2 is going to drop. And maybe you're still negative. But then you do it again in year 3, and now you've been able to bring it down to a net 0 on the HELOC itself. You still got a cost in the policy, let's say, of the loan interest. You still have to pay out of pocket. But then maybe by year 4, the HSA and the Roth are starting to pick up in returns. The IRR just went to a positive 0.5% return. Income went up, right? Cash flow went up. A lot of different variables here. So it may be worth it to you if you're thinking long term. If you're thinking short term, the strategy is not going to work, right? Guaranteed. Not going to work. And then we didn't even factor in the activity income over here of running a financial coaching practice. How much money can they make here? An additional $10,000, an additional $20,000. I'm talking profit, net profit, an additional $10,000, $20,000 in profit on top of their income. What could that do to the whole strategy, right? First off, that money is going to get deposited into the HELOC, all that free cash flow and profit from this business. It'll move right into the first lien, brings that cost down, right? And then slowly but surely, that balance begins to go down to 0. And when it does, we no longer have to use it. So the goal is to wean ourselves off of the HELOC. We don't want to stay there forever, right? Why keep paying 5.5? If you pay it off completely, we no longer need it. And now you have a fully funded, maybe $150,000+ policy that when you borrow from it, there's a wash in terms of loan interest versus what you're earning in the policy. There's a wash, potentially. Then you don't need to borrow from it no more unless you've got a bigger project. For example, $300K and you want to take $150 to put down on a property, or a real estate syndication, or a franchise business of some sort, or invest in an opportunity of some sort. Different story. Then we could just do velocity banking, and we would just have to map out the numbers. Well, whatever the variable rate is on that HELOC, we want to make sure that whatever we invested in is going to earn maybe double that, 10+%, 15%, right, return, so that my net is still positive, no cost of borrowing. And you got a $300,000 open line of credit there at your disposal for the next 10, 15 years, however long the draw period is, right? So that's the case study. That's the strategy. You can put this into your own numbers. This is going to be most ideal. This type of strategy and flow is going to be most ideal for people over a little bit above average American income salary. You're in the 80 and 90, 100K range income. If you're only making 30, 40, 50K a year, when you start looking at the cost, it may outweigh the value. It may not make sense, right? Plus, maybe your mindset isn't fully developed to handle this type of a complex strategy. because you're still trying to pay off credit card debts and personal loans. Understand, this person, before doing all of this, paid off all their cars, paid off all their credit cards, paid off all their student loans and personal loans. They don't have anything, just the mortgage itself of the 130. That's all that remained, and that's why they felt comfortable to then go ahead and say, yeah, I'm ready to take that next step and amp myself up. And they also have the mindset of increasing the top line, right? Building that financial coaching practice and serving people. So that's a whole nother ball game there. And let's go ahead, start reading some comments. So that's done. Now I want to address your comments. I've seen a lot of people commenting, which is great. All right, let's go back up to the top and just welcome everybody again, because I know a bunch of you dropped some comments. Hello, Jesus. Hello, Paulette. Ade. Ignacio. Lissetti. Am I saying that right? From Africa. Nice. Oh, well, it's evening for you then, right? Yep. Miami. Brenda. Looking forward to this one. Awesome, awesome. Tim, good morning. Deborah, California. Okay, Michael, Robert, Kelly, hello, hello. Esther, hello. Good morning. Like this video. Give it a like, give it a like, give it a like, give it a like. We're at 73 people, so we should have 73 likes. No? Is that too much to ask? J. Rod, mainly because I wrote a 50K from my HELOC into my Lafayette policy. Okay. Okay, I feel like you commented somewhere else. Like that's part of another comment. And maybe you didn't get it out, because I definitely didn't miss it. Hello, hello. Jessro in the house. Big money. I remember you, my friend. How's everything going? I know we connected on Clubhouse multiple times. Reach out to me, man. How's everything going? Vanessa, good morning. Morning. Joel, let's have a conversation, buddy. It's been a while. Reach out. Send me an email. Let me know how you're doing. Pearl says, I agree. Give and show grace, mercy, patience, and love, right? Scott says, that's facts. It's not about how much we make. It's about how we handle our finances, what we do with it. Yes. Arguably, I can make the argument that a mom making $5,000 a month, cash flowing $2,500, is making more than the person making $15,000 a month and spending $15,000 a month. The mom that's at 5, that cash flows 25, is more financially literate, prepared for a crash, better positioned, even though the person making $15,000 a month with a bigger house, the better car, better clothes, all that. Do you see that? So that's why I don't want you guys to get discouraged when you see high income numbers, right? I don't want you to get discouraged, because it's all the same. They're in the same position that you're in, making $5,000 a month, $4,000, $3,000. The person that's making $25,000 a month is in the same position. It's crazy, but that's the truth, right? When you're not taught. Two Worlds. Hi, I've been watching your videos. Just discovered your channel a week ago. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Deborah says, my challenge is inconsistent income. My eyes and ears are open to your teachings. I get the whole confusion with inconsistent income, but the thing that helps me most is getting a better read on what you're actually spending, because there's actually more consistency in your spending than what you realize. So even though you have fluctuating income, if you're still netting a cash flow positive, even in that fluctuation, then we really want to pay more attention to what is leaving and how can we manage that a little bit better. And then based off of your lowest income month is how we gauge how to create your next chunk to create more cash flow or pay off debt or, put you in a better position. That's usually how I deal with people with inconsistent income and cash flow and expenses. Two Worlds says, can my credit union check what my credit score is for me for free or get me a credit report? I don't know about credit union checking your credit score for free. I want to say that is a no. Credit Karma is good, but what's even better is annualcreditreport.com. You get a free one. You get the whole analysis, right? Free. Know exactly where you're at before you make the move. My problem is balancing with consistent real estate investing, which involved acquiring new loans. Yeah, that's an issue too. What I am seeing personally from clients is we're not running scenarios of worst case, right? We're not running worst case scenarios in your investment strategy, and that's messing you guys up tremendously because you're only looking at the positives of that investment, but you didn't look at what's the exit strategy. If this goes wrong, if this ends up costing more, what is the absolute worst scenario that could happen in this, and am I okay with that? If you are okay with worst case, then go right ahead. But if worst case sets you back 4 years in your financial strategy, it sets you back 3 years, and you're not okay with that, then you may want to reconsider if it's actually a good investment for you. So let's take time to run worst case scenarios. How do you run a worst case scenario? You simply run, okay, how much is it going to cost me if I'm leveraging debt? What's my borrowing costs? Let's iron that out. Based off your current income and cash flow, if you increased the leverage to whatever that new amount is, and now you're doing velocity banking, but you coordinated the strategy based on more income coming in to bring that line of credit down, I want you to run your numbers as if, for example, let's say in this case here, let's say the person wasn't doing an IBC strategy or anything like this. They had 130 grand in debt. They brought it down to 90, right? And let's say they came across a real estate investment opportunity and they're at 90 grand owed on the HELOC, and the investment is $108,000, right? So let's say they go all the way up to 2/3, 66% of the credit line is now leveraged at 5.5%. So now they owe $198,000, right? That's what we currently owe, right? And let's say that investment is supposed to produce an extra $2,000, $3,000 in cash flow, and you ran the numbers, and it makes sense for you to do that because you'll be able to bring the line of credit back down to 90 within 2 years, let's say, or something like that. Okay. Well, run the numbers as if now you're at 198 and you're still making the same income and same cash flow. Does it make sense now? Minus 7,150 plus 4,150, you're at 195 plus interest. If $519.45 is what you'll pay average in the first month of only owing 120 being the max, if it's 198, your borrowing costs just jumped, maybe doubled, right? Maybe more. Can you live like that? Are you okay that in that's a worst case scenario? You invested 108 grand and now you're not making any money for the first 6 months, the first 12 months. There's no cash flow coming back. So now you're still just left with the income. So now you don't want to be doing anything else. So you want to work that situation out and ask yourself, okay, if that happened, now I owe 198 on my first lien HELOC. I'm still making the same money, cash flowing the same. Can I live with myself? Is this good? Is wife going to knock me over the head? Or am I okay with not making money for the first 6 months, for the first 12 months, because I know the returns will outweigh what I pay in costs? Run it that way in your scenario before you make the investment. This way you guys don't call me and saying, Denzel, I need you to do magic, right? Because I've had people do that. You know, you're a client, we work together, and then you decide to do one of these, right? One of these, or you think from the heart, right? When it comes to your investments, you're emotional about it, and then it doesn't make the money that you want, and then you call me 3 months later saying, "Oh my God, this is not working for me." We don't want that, right? So let's watch the videos. Let's look at the fundamentals of leveraging and the principles, spending less than what you make. Let's factor that all into our strategy before we make that move. I think you'll put yourself in a better overall, head frame, like position, like, okay, gotcha. Investment didn't work out. That's okay. Wife's not going to beat you up, right? We don't want that. I'm more scared about the wife than I am the investment not working out. And you should be too. Instead of saying it's unrealistic, 12K per month, simply ask, show me how I can do it. There you go. That was the comment earlier, right? Ben says a ton of people making 13K a month, not just doctors, law enforcement, CPA, nurses, and some dental hygienists. Yeah, no, you're right. There's careers out there. There's truck drivers making 13K a month. It's very realistic. People are thinking too small out here today. You guys are thinking way too small. Way too small. Like, there's mechanics, people who fix cars, making 10, 13 grand a month. There's barbers making that kind of money. You guys are just thinking too small in your industry, right? You're just thinking too small. Thank you for talking to us. This is for us because we need help in the moments and placing us in positive visions. Yes, absolutely. I need an insurance policy to overflow so I will not have to pay any premium. If that is possible. It is possible. We, just got to run the numbers, make sure it makes sense. Is it counterintuitive to get a loan to max out IRA and HSA? I think so, yes. Personally, I would not want to get an amortized loan to max fund a retirement account that you don't necessarily want to pull from to pay it back. Because notice how in this strategy, it's not like we're pulling from the HSA or the Roth to pay back the HELOC, or that money is staying, growing, compounded. We're also not pulling from the policy to pay back the HELOC. That money's growing, right? Already had its purpose settled. So I would say yes, I believe it is counterintuitive. I think you're increasing your cost of borrowing by taking on that kind of a risk. What if the investment doesn't work out? Okay, isn't that considered being over leveraged because they are borrowing more than their yearly cash flow? No, their yearly cash flow is 36 grand, right? We're only funding a 30K a year policy. They already had 40K on hand. Don't forget about the 40K that just got dumped into the HELOC, right? That's 40K of space between 120 and 90K, right? Something like that. So that's 40K. We don't want to negate that. Or no, 130K being the original balance minus 40, we're at 90. So don't forget about that. There was plenty of cash on hand that they had. Just from looking at cash on hand, they could fund the policy in the first year. What I did was I spread out that cash on hand plus cash flow times 12 over the next 4 years. We could fund that, all right? Not an issue. No, because typically return on vigor larger than, okay, yeah. I think all the other things you're doing with the loan money brings the loan expense down very, very low to the point money is beginning to build your cash flow. Yes, over time. Yes. No, money growing in two places. Over the years, the growth of the HSA, investing, whole life, etc., will far outpace any borrowing cost of a policy loan. So J-Rod is looking at it like, dude, if I did that for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, do you understand the growth? It's the same dollars in 4 different locations. It's in a HELOC, it's in a policy, it's in an HSA, it's in a Roth. 4 locations, same 30 grand. Do you guys see that? That's pretty insane. Investing in a house builds equity, just guessing. Oh, that's the other thing too. Property's appreciating. All right. How do you replenish the loans, and what's the minimum you have to pay to your loan each year? So there's no minimum required. You're not required to pay back the policy loan, although you should over time. We replenish the loans by increasing our income and cash flow over the years. That's the intent. This strategy is not going to work if I stay at $7,150 income and $3,000 cash flow. So that's another paradigm shift of this strategy. The person is thinking bigger. So this does not work. This whole strategy, velocity banking, infinite banking, kingdom authority as a whole, does not work for small thinkers, right? The strategy only works for big thinkers, people who think beyond themselves. To think big means you think beyond yourself. It's not even about you anymore. It's about your brother in Christ, your sister in Christ who's also struggling, and how you can use your skills, gifts, and talents to raise them up to then affect their whole generational bloodline. That's thinking big. It's not just think big to make more money for you. No, it's think big to affect the entire community that you influence. That's thinking big. Okay? Very good, Denzel. People tell you to get back. People tell you to get a loan, but they never tell you to pay it back. Right. That's true. Or they don't even show you how to pay it back. Right? Let's see. Love this. Enjoying all this. Thank you, Denzel. I like the way this creates the velocity of money, but if people would learn how to sell options, they would make so much more money than using an infinite banking system. You're absolutely correct. We can have both, right? So let's just say that instead of an HSA and a Roth, or maybe in addition to the HSA and a Roth, that the person, because we got 30K in the policy. Let's say they take out another 7K, and that goes into options, right? Stock options. Or maybe, Ben, you could correct me if I'm wrong here, maybe you can invest in options in the HSA or the Roth if it's self-directed. I think you can. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if we took out 7K for options, right? Or what if we did away with the whole IBC policy itself? Did away with the whole thing. Don't get it. Maybe it's not the right timing. Because again, what you don't want to do, Ben, you don't want to compare a policy with an investment strategy. You'll lose every time, right? The investment will likely or should always outperform whatever the whole life policy is doing. So part of this strategy of getting the cash value life insurance policy, doing infinite banking, is not to compare to an investment, because that's not what it is. At its core, we're simply repositioning dollars out of the banking system, where banks can now do bank bail-ins. Remember in 07, 08, it was a bank bailout. Well, the next time around, it's going to be a bail-in. They're going to come for the depositor's money. That's you, right? They now have the right to take all of your deposits in your savings, in your money markets, checkings, savings accounts. Don't believe me? Look it up. Look up bank bail-in. They can take all of your funds. So that's why you're hearing a lot of the influencers, a lot of the content creators saying, hey, get your money out of the banks. Put it in gold, put it in silver, put it in stocks, put it in real estate, put it in non-duplicatable assets, right? Because your money is going to die in your savings account. So arguably the most powerful protected place to store free cash flow, money that you don't yet have a purpose for, savings, emergency funds, sinking funds. The most protected, most powerful, safe location is cash value life insurance, arguably, because that's where banks are storing their money, which is your money. They're storing it in there. So we ought to pay attention to why they're doing that, right? We really want to pay attention to that. But let's just say, Ben, that having a cash value life insurance policy does not make sense. It's not the right timing yet because you want to get this number up. You want to move the decimal, right, from 7,150 to 71,500 a month, right? You want to move that comma over one. You just want to add a zero to that number. Then I would agree with you. Infinite banking is not the right starting point, arguably. I would say that if you have a desire to learn stock options and swing trades and all the different terminologies and learn how to read charts and become a master in that, oh yeah, disregard whole life, get a term instead. You know, if you have no type of protection, get a temporary term, make a ton of money over here, and then have the problem of, okay, now I'm making a ton of money. Where do I store that money? And then you'll come back around this conversation. Well, I could store a big amount here, store money in gold and silver, store money in the church, right? Store money in a different jurisdiction, store money in a trust, right? In different tech companies, a law firm, right? Medical practice, different businesses, different franchises, different situation, right? So that's what I would say to that. Let me know if you like that. After a person becomes wealthy and builds up their liquid cash, do they need an insurance policy? Help me with this question. So let's say I'll use Todd Baldwin as an example. YouTuber, millionaire, investor in real estate, owns no life insurance on the whole life side, but he has plenty of term. So even as a multimillionaire, he knows the value of insurance protection. So I don't believe, okay, that there isn't an amount of money that you shouldn't have insurance or protection of that money. Because you make all this money, you're now going to have the estate problem when you die. So that's where the insurance kicks in to protect that, offset that cost. It's a different conversation, right? That's a much higher level conversation of insurance protection. So in my personal financial strategy, there's never going to be a situation where I'm not including life insurance protection. And the younger I am, the better. So when I produce a baby, right, or multiple babies, right, when I have children and they have children and they have children, part of the financial strategy, right, is as soon as that baby is born, right, wife produces a child, as soon as that baby is born, once they're eligible, life insurance policy right on them. It's going to be the cheapest, right? And you can front load a ton of money because mom and dad, right? Dad, mom, parents have death benefit. So however much mom or dad has in death benefit, you're able to get, I think, up to 50%, maybe more in death benefit on that newborn, right? I think they have to be a couple months old for you to put the policy in place. I may be incorrect there. So having that money continuously grow, tax-free, compounded, all the way till death, and then the death benefit pays out tax-free, and then you just rinse and repeat. I mean, let's pay attention to what the wealthiest of the wealthiest are doing, and you're going to see cash value life insurance in their portfolio. Major banks, corporations do it. Big mega churches do it. Why not you and your household, right? Could we time it? It's all about timing, right? Figuring out the right timing. So let's take it back to the board here. Ben, right? Recapping. I like that. Right? So I'm for it. Whether we do the policy first or maybe you 10x first, make a bunch of money first, then come back to it. I'm cool with that. Nothing against it there. Let's come back to the questions. All right. Let's see. I think I missed this one. Yeah. That answer to that question is that it depends on how much wealth you have acquired and how much is required to fund your lifestyle. Okay. To Vanessa's question that I just answered. Okay, so that's a different answer, right? I don't think it depends. I personally just believe I should have protection. Not wealthy by any means, but I do have a whole life policy that allows me to do micro chunks. Nice. Where do I go to learn options? Also, are you spending more money in taxes with options? Who is good with options on YouTube? Let me tell you, one thing I know is the Asians are really good in this department. Okay? I see some really good content creators out there. There's this one lady. What's her name, man? I got to look her up now. It's going to bother me. She called like the Nomad Investor or something. The Nomad. There's the Nomad Capitalist. Is that? No. We'll look it up right now. See what pops up on YouTube. So we got where. This is Vanessa's question, right? This is how easy it is. Where do I, this is her question, where do I learn? What did she say? Let me go to Vanessa's question again. Where is it? Boom. Where do I learn to invest in options? Okay, who comes up? Project Finance. That's one YouTube channel. 412,000 subscribers. Project Finance. Okay, write that down. You got Andre GEEK, but he gives general information. I've seen his content before. Here's one lady I like. So she changed her YouTube channel. It says It's Your Girl Rose, but her name is Rose Han, ROSEHAN. Okay. I might be incorrect. She looks Asian, real smart, powerful content that I've seen. I've actually joined one of her. I pay for one of her courses because she actually, this lady. I'll share my screen. She actually worked in Wall Street, I believe. So she has a background in that. Very, very good content. And I want to say that she covers options, but I might be incorrect. So let's go. Let's share my screen. Boom. This lady right here. And I will copy paste her YouTube. And I'll drop that in the chat for you guys. So you have it. Beautiful. So I dropped that in the chat. 663,000 subs. She's doing good. But there's another lady, man. I need to find her. Options trading. Where is she? Where is she? Dang it. Am I subscribed to her? I should be. Let me see. You guys know who I'm talking about? She's always showing her setup, her different screens. Where is this lady, man? Am I seriously not subscribed to her? Let's see. Options trading course. Let's do how to trade options. Dang it. Oh, I like him. He's good. Let's Talk Money with Joseph Hogue. I like him. I actually met him. Let's see. This is what you should do, guys. You want to learn something? YouTube it. All right? You'll find someone, you'll connect with them. They might have a course, they might have coaching. Before you know it, mastering this thing. Before we jump off, I need to find that lady, because she's like one of my favorite. So let me just come back. Let me address more of your questions. I want to get through all your questions. Let me scroll back up. I lost my spot. What real estate syndication would you recommend? I'm I'm co-vesting in a real estate syndication with a church. Okay. So you want to know about more of that? Email me directly and I'll give you the instructions, how to connect with them, the steps to take to get involved in that real estate syndication. Some popular ones, you got Grant Cardone. If you just did research, all right, why are we stressing about this? Let's just take it. Take it to the YouTube. Real estate syndication. All right. Let's see who pops up. Bigger Pockets pops up, and arguably Bigger Pockets, very credible. So here's where I would start, right? Bigger Pockets. I would click on that video. What the hell? Whoever that dude right there is. What is private equity and real estate syndication? That was where I would start. Real estate syndication, pros and cons. Boom, that's a good video I probably should watch. This is interesting. He's got a whiteboard. Real estate syndication structures explained by Dylan Borland. Boom. That's my homework, Jessro. Right? That's my homework. Maybe check this guy, the Real Estate Syndication Show. All right? Don't get more niche than that, right? Done. Homework done. You now know what you do. You got your action steps. Go do it. Come back. Report. Yes? Yes. Okay, cool. Good day. Can you talk about what your payments would look like on a principal and HELOC versus interest only? Pretty simple, right? So we'll do that one quick. Let's say $130,000 is owed and it's a interest only HELOC. $130,000 times 5.5% divided by 12 That's the formula. That's going to be your payment, right? If it's principal and interest, they might do something like 130K times 2% of the balance. That's your payment, $2,600. And within that is the interest in the 26. Done. That's how you do the math. Okay. Yodita, good morning. Good morning, Denzel, California. Morning. Ben, okay. Vanessa, that is a typical question that I get. The answer also depends on how much money you make a year. My earnings are taxed at my tax rate. If you could make more money, would you mind paying a little more in taxes? Of course. I know that the more money I make, and with the right tax strategy, you actually go down. You're not paying more in taxes with the right strategy. The more money you make, although you're hitting different higher tax brackets, with the right strategy, you're actually bringing the actual net percentage down. So you end up paying less in comparison to what you actually make in taxes. All right. And if you're even more slick, right, and you want to learn about jurisdictional finance, reach out to me and I can show you how to completely eliminate your tax liability all the way to zero by, instead of investing, you can co-vest into different real estate, cash value, business, other opportunities, and have zero tax liability because of the jurisdiction that you operate in. Same goes for people who operate in trust, right? When you put assets in trust and things like that, you eliminate tax liability. Nonprofits, different things like that. So that's a conversation for another day, right? Good morning from Canada. Trying to figure out this infinite banking game, working on getting rid of all the debts, hoping to see debt to increase financial sovereignty. Much respect, brother. Love it. Thanks for all this. Lots of good information to take in. Will this be available for viewing afterwards? As I came in a little late, absolutely. You can actually rewind it right now, right? And start from the beginning. That's why your comment got my interest. Hello, Bracken. I wanted to share with everyone this quote from our last conversation. Trade hours for the work that feeds your soul. Buy assets to feed your family and support your lifestyle. Yes, there was a major takeaway when Bracken and I had a conversation. Now I was just like shocked, where I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. You trade hours for the work that feeds your soul, but then you buy assets to feed your family and support your lifestyle. And you did say something different, Bracken, if you can remember, when I was trying to explain how I've positioned my business and myself, where it's like my financial coaching practice, I could be charging way more, but I don't, because I'm trying to make myself affordable to a certain niche type of people that I'm after, which is moms, right? But the cash flow that gets generated from that business goes into an asset outside of my emotions and passions that I know will generate way more cash flow than my passion or purpose. Because not everybody's passion or purpose can actually make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Like, there is a limit to how much money you can make being a financial coach. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many clients you can take on, right? So I'm not doing financial coaching because it makes a lot of money. That's a passion, that's a purpose of mine, to provide financial counseling and coaching. And then I charge lower rates on purpose, but then I have these other cash flow vehicles outside of my emotions. These are just things that make a ton of money, and it feeds the passion, feeds the purpose, so that I never go broke chasing my passion, right? And I think oftentimes people aren't reading the market. You know, if you want to be this kind of coach but don't nobody want it, but you're out here saying what you do and this is what you want to do and this is how you help people, but if nobody wants it, there's not a market for it, but that's your passion, that's going to be a a pivotal point in your life where are you going to ride it till broke, or are you going to figure out a different cash flow vehicle that can support your passion? Right? And I think that's a good way to think too. Also married with 3 children, so because of my write-offs, I would have to make over $250K annually before I would have any tax liability. Nice. Each per, yep. Different situation. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, Vanessa, Ben, going back and forth. Like it. I'm in a divorce, but support hasn't been ordered and haven't worked in 8 years. Haven't worked in 8 years. Dang, are you on disability? How are we living? Right? Somebody else? Who's paying for the expenses, right? Is it disability? Is it pension? Is it Social Security? What is it? All right. I learned options by reading and watching videos. Was that not my solution earlier? To, back to Vanessa's point. You need to think big. Yep. Boom, boom, boom. My drivers make 10K per month. All right. It's, guys, think big. Boom. Nice. Faithful, I don't know what you're talking about. Vanessa, if you want to learn options, start searching for articles and videos how to sell options. I don't advise anyone to buy options. Be conservative. The most important thing to protect is capital. Gotcha. Sir, Ben, you're giving a lot of good value. You are correct. You can sell options inside the Roth. Not sure about the HSA. Never had one. Okay. How much can I borrow against the policy? Typically up to 90% of the available cash value is what we can typically borrow from the account. Yep. Does your beneficiaries get the cash you've built up in your life insurance or just the life insurance policy payout? So it's always going to be just the life insurance payout of the death benefit, right? So the cash value is a living benefit. So it is in use while you are living, right? Because it's a living benefit. When you die, if the policy is designed where for every dollar that goes into a policy, it goes into 2 places in regards to a whole life insurance contract. The premium, right? Cost of insurance, the cost of that death benefit, whatever we got. So your dollar goes in and it goes to premium, cost of insurance, which pays for the death benefit. Then portion of that dollar goes into cash value, right? And now that is the living benefit function that we can pull from that dollar, or however many dollars go into the account. Simultaneously, Ben, while that dollar is sitting in cash value, okay, it also purchases PUA, paid up additions. So I'm purchasing more death benefit. So what happens is, on average, and maybe this has changed over the years, either up, is for every dollar, on average, this isn't accurate, for every dollar that goes into cash value, I get $3 more in death benefit, right? I get $3 more in death benefit. So me personally, I have 2 life insurance policies. Total amount of death benefit is around $5 million. But if I die at 91, my death benefit can be upwards of somewhere around this number. How did that happen? If I'm paying the same exact premium, how did that happen? What happened is the cash value became part of the death benefit. So you can't say, like, legally and technically speaking, you can't say that the cash value and the death benefit gets paid out to the insured, right? You can't say that. But what I am saying is your cash value is buying more death benefit, and your death benefit is compounding more than the compounding growth of the cash value while you're living. So talk about being able to get multiple and multiple uses of the same dollar. That dollar that went into the cash value, then it got borrowed out to do what you're doing, options, right? Or investing. So I'm doing the same thing that you're doing, and I could potentially have the ability, depending on who's better, right? Make more money than you, right? Or just be in a better overall financial position down the line. And then that same money gets doubled up, shows up in death benefits. So when I die, boom, death benefit payout, tax free, right? So that is very, 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 very interesting how that all plays out. And again, I like to go to the source. I like to do my research, right? And come to the conclusion that there's something going on. There's something going on. Why do banks have cash value life insurance as their number one tier one asset? Why is that? Why are major corporations, why are politicians, famous people, high net worth billionaires, why do they have cash value life insurance? That baffles me, right? If it supposedly costs all this money and it doesn't perform well and da-da-da and all these, kind of anti-arguments, I still can't get over the fact that, wait a minute, billionaires, politicians, millionaires, banks, the smartest people in the world, what are they doing, right? So I'm just going to keep asking that question and keep improving my financial strategy down the line and see who wins, see who comes out on top, right? I'm happy to compete, right? I'm happy to learn. In fact, dude, I want to be wrong, because the faster I'm wrong, the faster I make mistakes, the better I can improve my strategy, right? Down the line. Okay, that is not what you are here to do. Focus on your strategy. Let them do their own research, right? Are you talking to me? Dude, I do market research for you guys, right? I love doing market research. Options trading is a whole different level. No, it's not. No, it's not. Read 5 books. You'd be more educated than 90% of people. Read 5 books that are narrow focus on options trading. Give yourself 6 to 9 months. You can learn options trading. It's not that difficult. Here's someone, Boyce Watkins on YouTube and Finance, also teaches call options but does have a paywall. Okay. I'd recommend The Traveling Trader or Invest with Henry. Both have worked on Wall Street. Henry worked for Goldman Sachs as an options trader. Rosehan is to, It's to basic. You didn't finish your comment. Your thumbnail says Velocity Banking, Infinite Banking, but now you spend 10 minutes on something you are not familiar with. Stay focused. We're in the Q&A part. This is done, right? So Velocity Banking, Infinite Banking, covered it, right? Did the case study. We're done. Now I'm addressing the questions, right? Because, again, this is what the audience wants, right? The audience is asking the question. We do a little market research. Boom. I satisfied that person's question. Then we can go to the next topic, right? So that's the structure. If you look at other live streams, you'll always see me handle the topic, do the case, open it up to Q&A. Whatever your question is, right? And let's handle it. Can we include options in the velocity on the income side like we include the insurance on the loan side? We are all opening our knowledge base. Absolutely. Right? Let's see. Is there a big difference in the death benefit between 90-10 split and, say, 60-40? Both are important to me. I want to say yes. There will be a difference in death benefit amount, right? It does come back to your age, your health, and finances in terms of what the insurance company is willing to approve you for. If you go to IBC Global, right, that YouTube channel, Steve Parisi, he does a phenomenal job breaking down the differences in starting cash value, long-term cash value, and for the most part, he's always looking at the guarantees, like what have the companies historically have done. He gives you real case studies, he gives you examples, he goes back and forth, providing full transparency. So I think that is a very, very healthy channel to visit. And if you take it further, talk to one of the agents there, mention my name, they take care of you really, really good. All the agents there. Yeah, many people you are seeding, trust God, forget the haters. Yeah. Wall Street is what happened. Okay. Protect the ass. Okay. What company do you recommend for infinite banking? I personally have been using Mass Mutual and Guardian. I did a video titled, "What company do we use for infinite banking?" And I laid out the most popular insurance companies that most of the credible content creators that cover the infinite banking concept that are either agents or they have agencies, and they give you their experience, all different ages, ranging from people my age upwards of 40 and up. And I compiled a list of the most common insurance companies that every agent is using. So check that video out and come back, have a conversation. Let me know where you're at, who you're working with, and if there's anything I can do to support, I'm here. Let's see. There we go. You're helping with many. Okay, so okay. Keep going. Yep. Yeah, I don't know who that subscriber is. He's just really pumped up. He's like, stick to the topic, bruh. Velocity banking, infinite banking, stick to it. We did. Were you not here? Did you miss it? It's right here. Work's done. So we're now approaching the 2-hour mark. I hit all the questions. Give you guys a couple more seconds. Do you have any more questions, concerns? If not, action step from here is brand new, not a client yet. Keep watching more content. If your income's low, cash flow is low, your negative cash flow, break even, you spend exactly what you make, go to Velocity Banking pregame work. That's your next action step. I have a ministry, okay, for those who are broke, busted, negative cash flow, low income, right, break even. I have a ministry where money is not required, but work is required in the kingdom of the ministry, right? What do I mean by that? If you're willing to do the work, right? You're in a tough financial position. You're like, Denzel, these numbers are crazy. I'm not ready for Velocity Bank. I'm not ready for infinite banking. I just need to get a grip on my money first, right? You're in that position. Okay, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to be coachable? No money is required. It's welcomed. No money is required. Work is required. You have to gather all your numbers. You need to get your bank statements, the last 90 days up to a year. You need to fill out my financial spreadsheet. You need to get on my email newsletter. You need to, attend workshops that I do like this. So you can start turning the gears, the light bulbs start going off. You start thinking big again. You start dreaming again. You start having visions, right? Once you've done the work, you sent it to me. Here's the work, Denzel. Here, I subscribed to your videos. I watched this playlist. I did it, done. Show me the proof. I will give you my time. I have a 7-step process, right? I will give you my time. And then when we're on that call, I have all the details about you. I know exactly where you're at. And then we can just literally strategize for about 30 minutes, right? Maybe a little longer. So I say, look, over the next 90 days, this is what you have to do in order to get your cash flow to a positive position. Then once we get our cash flow to a positive position, you then reach back out to me. I will give you more of my time because you did the work, right? So now we follow up. Okay, you went from zero cash flow. Now you have $250 a month in cash flow. So I give you my time and say, okay, for the next 90 days, 4 months, 6 months, you need to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to knock out this debt. We're going to apply for that line of credit because you've built your credit score over the last 6 to 9 months. And you're going to be able to increase your cash flow by another $400. Once you get to that point, you now have the ability to reinvest in yourself in some coaching. And then I'll give you the options here. Either you hire me as a financial coach right here. Either you do this, you do that, you join my course, $47 a month, bam, 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 and we can keep the cycle going. Or maybe you become self-sufficient. Maybe you double your income. And you're like, you send a check in the mail. Here, Denzel, thank you for all the work you've done. I appreciate it. I've had people do this. Send checks. Or nowadays, it's more like Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, right? Or PayPal. People just sending money out the woodworks because they're like, Denzel, I've been watching for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. Changed my mindset. You helped me pay off 150 grand of debt. You don't know this. We never spoke, but you helped me pay off over $150,000 of debt because you did a case study that was near exact to my numbers somehow, some way, and it just made sense. It all clicked. Here you go. Here's $1,000. Here's $5,000. Here's $2,000. I just want to give to your ministry. I want to make sure you keep this going. It's changed my life. Bam, bam, bam. We have fun. We have fun in the process. It's amazing stuff. Right? Absolutely love it. Let's see. I need the video also for overfunding the police, so I don't have to the policy, so I don't have to pay a premium. So no matter what, Vanessa, you're always paying a premium, right? In the insurance policy. There's no way around that. I think what you're getting at is you want to get to a point where you're overfunding the policy. After so many years, you can do what's called a reduced paid up option, and you remove the base premium, and now you just have this increasing tax-free compounded line of credit at your disposal, right? So maybe you only fund it for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, and then you stop, right? That is an option. You don't have to do that. You can keep paying the base premium all the way till you pass. Some people do that. Some people cut it off, right? So these are options. It's just flexibility, right? I will look for that video when this is over. Let me do the work for you real quick. Okay. Let me just go to my YouTube channel and I will find that video for you so that you don't have to. And I actually did 2 videos, like what company do I use for infinite banking? All right. So let me share my screen and then I will attach the link so you can check that out. So this video at the top was done 2 years ago. As you can see, what company do I go with for infinite banking? That was 2 years ago. It was a 13-minute video, nothing crazy. But then I did a recap video. I said, what company do I go with for infinite banking? That was 3 months ago, right? So I'll just take that video real quick and copy, paste, bring it back, and throw that in the comments section so you have that. Ben, check that out. It's the entire list. It's like whether you work with me or another insurance agent, another YouTuber, they're pulling from this list. Like they're using one or more of these companies without a doubt. All right? It's like you can't go wrong. That's the companies that they're using. Okay. Have you heard of AAFMAA? No. What's the abbreviation for that? Let us know. Don't leave us in the dark. All right, what are we talking about? All right. Vanessa says, I got it. Thank you. Now I understand. Beautiful. Peace. Love it. Okay. Any other questions? Now's the time. You have my time. Get your questions going. What you need. I'm here to help. In the links below, you'll see getting on my newsletter, how to work with me one-to-one, courses, other resources, my website. Okay, whether you need help for free, there's an option. You want to invest in yourself, financial coaching, consulting, strategy. You want someone to bounce ideas off of. You want to run numbers on the whiteboard. You want to record sessions together. You're willing to invest. Let's have a conversation. During this month, I'm doing a Black November sale, right? And my prices are at a discount. I did the last live stream or last 2 live streams I did, I went over it in detail. So you can check that out or just reach out to me directly. My email is on my website. Contact me. All of it's there. Angela says, what email do I send docs over for support? I'll throw it in there right now. But if you go on my website, you'll see it. You'll see the contact me. You'll see all the questions that I ask you. I will send you a PDF doc. If you reach out to me directly, I send a PDF doc, Finance Geek Ministry, 7 steps, instructions in terms of what you need to send to me so that I am best prepared and we can maximize our time together. All right. So that is the direct email that you want to reach out. Denzel@buildittocontributor.com. And that concludes our session for today. It's been a pleasure working with you guys, sharing this strategy. Leave comments below. What type of material do you want to see? What do you want to do? What do you want me to engage in? Right? And let's learn together. All right? Good stuff. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. All right. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and we'll be talking soon. Bring our forces together to really help on a massive scale.
I look forward to helping more of Denzel's clients and educating them and getting them ready for velocity banking, because we have work to do in the community. We have work to do for the next generation.
We can create change in all different aspects in our personal and professional journeys.
How can we turn those leads into actual conversations and then turn those into sales?
And really dialogue and see what solutions, what problems can we provide solutions to that help us move forward and improve the entire ecosystem.